Today on Rappler, Senator Santiago hits President Aquino's silence on the pork barrel scam. Malacanang vows administration allies won't be spared in the investigation of the pork barrel scam. And 2 more customs officials offered to resign. Hello, I'm Maria Ressa. Welcome to Rappler, your social news network. Senator Miriam Santiago criticizes President Benigno Aquino's silence on the pork barrel scam in his State of the Nation address Monday. In a televised interview Wednesday, Santiago says he should have discussed that because the theme of this administration is the straight and narrow path against corruption. The Philippine Daily Inquirer reports the alleged 10 billion peso or $230 million pork barrel scam involved at least 5 senators and 23 congressmen. Lawmakers released their pork or discretionary funds to fake organizations questioned by state auditors over a 5-year period. Rappler also reported even administration allies gave funds to questionable NGOs. Santiago says the reports are, quote, very scandalous and merits a discussion in the president's annual report. Among the senators tagged in the scandal are Senator Santiago's rival, Senate Minority Leader Juan Ponce Enrile, and his allies, Senators Jinggoy Estrada and Gringo Anasan. Malacanang defends the omission of topics in the State of the Nation address, saying the president had limited time to mention all sectors. Presidential spokesperson Edwin Lacerda says the investigation on the pork barrel scam will be exhaustive and will not spare administration allies. Quoting President Aquino, Lacerda says, this travesty will be investigated and we will investigate it no matter where the evidence will lead. Lacerda's comments come after a Rappler report linked 15 administration allies to the scam. Several legislators in the Commission on Audit reports deny knowledge of their pork barrel going to NGOs questioned by state auditors. The original list of whistleblower Ben Hurluy included at least 5 senators and 23 congressmen and only included members of the opposition, raising concerns the expose was politically motivated. Malacanang repeatedly said it will wait for results of the investigation before commenting. Customs Commissioner Rufy Biazon wants politicians to keep their hands off the Bureau of Customs, saying they're part of the reason why corruption persists. A day after President Aquino scolded Customs in his State of the Nation address, Biazon says Band-Aid solutions will not work in an agency where corruption is systemic. Biazon tweeted minutes later that he offered to resign, but the president reportedly told him, "My confidence in you remains the same." In a press conference Tuesday, Biazon says he wants to propose a policy prohibiting recommendations for employment in the Bureau to insulate Customs from political influence. Without naming names, Biazon says corrupt employees become audacious with their illegal activities because of political backers. This is the first time Biazon identifies meddling politicians as part of the problem. Aquino, citing Department of Finance estimates, says 200 billion peso in revenues are lost because of corruption in the Bureau of Customs. This despite Biazon's efforts to file charges against smugglers. Talks about Biazon being replaced because of poor revenue performance have been swirling on and off since he assumed office. 2 more customs officials offered to resign following President Aquino's scathing criticism of the agency. Presidential spokesperson Edwin Lacerda confirms Executive Secretary Paquito Ochoa received the resignation letter of Customs Deputy Commissioner for Intelligence Danny Lim, but says the president has not yet decided whether to accept. Lacerda adds Ochoa's office has not received the resignation letter of Deputy Commissioner for Internal Administration Group Juan Lorenzo Tañada, who also offered to quit. On Tuesday, Lim tells Rappler he tried to resign 6 times in the 22 months he's been in office, but was rejected every time. Lim says the Customs Bureau is, quote, tough given the various external forces beyond your control. Lacerda says reforms have already been discussed and will be implemented in the agency. The Senate announces changes in committee chairmanships Wednesday, with Senator Francis Escudero now heading the powerful Finance Committee and Senator Pia Cayetano leading the education panel. The finance panel is one of the key Senate committees because it scrutinizes the national budget. Liberal Party member Senator T.G. Gangona retains his chairmanship of the Blue Ribbon Committee, which investigates irregularities in government. No committee chairmanship is announced for the minority so far. In an interview after the session, Senate Majority Leader Alan Cayetano says the changes were prompted by discussions within the majority group. Cayetano says there will be consultations on committee chairmanships for the members of the minority, led by Senator Juan Ponce Enrile. Senator Jinggoy Estrada of the minority says by his count, only the chairmanships of 6 committees are up for grabs. That's Labor, Civil Service, Economic Affairs, Social Welfare, Urban Planning, and Ethics. Estrada says it's still uncertain whether his group will accept any committee chairmanships. Former President and now Pampanga Representative Gloria Arroyo asks the Sandigan Bayan to grant her petition for bail and order her release from hospital arrest. Invoking humanitarian grounds, Arroyo says there's no evidence in the plunder case against her. Arroyo is accused of amassing ill-gotten wealth when 366 million pesos of Philippine Charity Sweepstakes Office operating funds were converted into intelligence funds and disbursed. Arroyo is under hospital arrest and is charged with plunder, a non-bailable offense. In a motion filed through lawyers, the 66-year-old Arroyo says her poor health and her stature as a re-elected member of the lower house constitute enough grounds to negate suspicions she can be considered a flight risk. Chief Justice Maria Lourdes Sereno defends the reproductive health law on day 2 of the oral arguments Tuesday. Sereno repeats the position she raised on day 1, that the court is not the proper body to throw out the law that funds the distribution of contraceptives. Anti-RH lawyer Luisito Liban says the RH law is, quote, arbitrary. He asks why there's no law to address, quote, serious illnesses like diabetes and heart diseases which kill more Filipinos. To this, Sereno answers, how can you raise arbitrariness if this has been debated for 13 years? Sereno suggests a political solution for anti-RH advocates is to get more allies elected. She says, the solution is to get more people who think like you elected in Congress. It is not for us to cure problems you see in Congress. Liban finds an ally in Justice Roberto Abad, who cites medical studies likening hormonal contraceptives to poison. Liban says by allowing hormonal contraceptives in the law, the government arbitrarily declared hormonal contraceptives safe. Abad echoes arguments made by anti-RH lawyer Maria Concepcion Noche that some contraceptives are hazardous, quote, hazardous to health. The next session is scheduled on August 6. Anti-RH lawyer Luis Gana will discuss how the RH law supposedly violates the Organic Act of the Autonomous Region in Muslim Mindanao by requiring local governments to support RH efforts. A group called the West Philippine Sea Coalition takes to the streets to protest China's encroachment on Philippine territories. Paterno Esmaquel reports.
It's not Chinese New Year, but Filipinos protesting in front of the Chinese consulate say they want to drive bad spirits away. The rally is organized by the newly formed West Philippine Sea Coalition. Marimi de la Fuente says China's claims will bring bad luck.
I want them to know that they cannot bully the Philippines. Well, I know the Chinese believe in feng shui. They should know this, that it's bad feng shui to take what isn't yours. So
it's been a year since the Philippines and China escalated the World War over the territorial dispute. Beijing slams the Philippines' case against China before a UN tribunal and refuses arbitration, while the Philippines insists China should follow international law. Former Senator Rene Sagisag says it's time the Philippines put its foot down.
So, we have to take a stand. Dahil Ayungin, Scarborough, pinipitik na lang tayo eh. Kaya it's our own self-interest. Hindi sa kano, hindi sa inchik, hindi sa pon, kundi kung anong kabubuti ng Pilipino. Dahil ayoko ng paglaki ng mga apo ko, problema pa rin to eh.
Organizers say similar rallies will happen in other countries, such as Australia, Canada, and the United States.
We're asking Filipinos to take leadership wherever they are. Hindi lang naman itong street rally ang only avenue eh. Maraming avenues. There's international fora. There is social media. We can be very creative.
On the day of the rally, the palace says it has no hand in the protests. In a recent Pew survey, 39% of Filipinos surveyed saw China as an enemy. Palace ties or not, protesters say their voices echo a growing sentiment. Paternoes Macael Rappler, Manila.
A Dutch national who joined a rally to protest the State of the Nation address gets mixed reactions on social media after a photo of the foreigner shouting at a policeman goes viral. On Monday, Thomas Van Beersum shouts at PO1 Joselito Sevilla during a clash with protesters and police. Sevilla later broke down in tears. Van Beersum reportedly told Sevilla, quote, "You're the ones that are hurting us. You started this conflict. Why are you doing this?" Sevilla reportedly replied, "I'm a policeman. I'm just doing my job." After a photo of the two circulated on social media, Van Beersum posted an open letter on Facebook. In the letter, he says, "I write this letter because unlike the other police at the protest, you did not act violently like your mates and you did not attack us. You did what you thought was right." Commission on Human Rights Chair Eto Rosales cries foul over Van Beersum's behavior toward the policeman. Rosales says he has no business in the rally. It's not his business shouting at an official. Rosales says foreigners are allowed to join protests, but they should respect Philippine authorities. A picture of the Dutch national later surfaces on social media showing him with Communist Party of the Philippines founder Jose Maria Sison. Carlos Celdran tweets about that photo. Guess who Thomas Van Beekas hung out with back home? What is the dating scene like for Filipino transgenders? How do the ladyboys, as the transgenders are called, find love in the time of social media? Devon Wong reports.
They say love makes the world go round, but finding the perfect partner is no easy feat. Men are from Mars, women are from Venus, and then there are transgenders.
It's complicated. Just like our lives, very complicated.
Transgenders or ladyboys say dating has its extra challenges. Everyone's looking for love, but ladyboys also have to defy social stigma. It takes a certain open-minded man.
I don't care how you define me. I don't care how you categorize me, but what matters most is you are going to respect me as a human, at least as a human.
It's an issue that hits close to home for Cyril and Mackie. With a limited dating pool, they met each other as many couples do, online.
I come from a small town in France where there is virtually no transgender woman at all, so the internet was the only thing I had to figure it out.
It's a personal advocacy for Cyril and Mackie, who want to pioneer an online dating website for transgenders.
We would like to let the people know that with myladybboydate.com, you can find genuine relationship. You can find someone who's going to accept you for who you are.
Early tests show a huge interest from the online community. Membership numbers are climbing, while Cyril and Mackie take their matchmaking roles very seriously.
Well, we have a very strict policy on it. Like, you will never see any flesh, any skin on the website. Nothing sexually explicit will be allowed. We're making it very tight on the screening of the profiles. Every profile is screened.
Foreign men from across the world are setting up online profiles, but Cyril and Mackie know that looks can be deceiving. Sex tourism in the Philippines is a growing issue that's only recently being addressed at the national level. This year, the Department of Tourism launched public policies to protect children from human trafficking. It's a step forward from earlier attitudes. In 2011, U.S. Ambassador Harry Thomas Jr. suggested that 40% of tourists coming to the Philippines were sexpats. It was a comment that was quick to offend government officials, who adamantly denied the statistic. Cyril insists ladyboys are also unfairly targeted by sexpats because of local stereotypes.
Sex workers are the most visible. Like, in terms of visibility, people tend to think, yeah, that's the majority. But it's not. It's just super visible.
It's his personal advocacy to help those looking for love in all the wrong places.
By doing this website, I want to help these men to maybe not to accept it, to maybe not say no to happiness just because society said so, or friends said so, or the media said so.
The couple hopes to open the minds to transgender dating. The website may be connecting virtual strangers, but after all, love is blind. Devon Wong, Rappler, Manila.
The world gets its first glimpse of the royal baby after Prince William and his wife Kate appeared with their firstborn son outside the hospital where he was born Tuesday night, that's Wednesday morning in Manila. The unnamed prince, whose official title is Prince of Cambridge, is the third in line to the British throne after his father and grandfather, Prince Charles. When asked about a name, William says, "We're still working on a name. We'll have that as soon as we can." The family leaves the hospital the same evening for Kensington Palace. The royal baby is born Monday after a much-anticipated wait. Well, let's now look at Rappler's Wrap for today, a list of the 10 most important events around the world you shouldn't miss. At number 4, an asylum seeker boat heading for Australia sinks off Java in Indonesia Tuesday night. Unconfirmed reports say as many as 100 are dead or missing. Indonesian authorities are conducting rescue operations. An official says the boat carried about 150 people, most from Sri Lanka and Iran. 47 people are found alive. Australia is struggling to stem the flow of asylum seekers arriving by boat, with more than 15,000 turning up so far in 2013. Australian Prime Minister Kevin Rudd recently announced a law which bans asylum seekers without visas from settling in Australia. At number 6, pressure grows on Egypt's new leaders to release Mohamed Morsi from detention as clashes between supporters and opponents of the deposed Islamist president leave at least 10 people dead. The clashes broke out Monday and continued through the night, injuring dozens of people and killing at least 6 people on Tuesday. Egypt's new leadership says Morsi is in, quote, a safe place for his own good. And at number 8, researchers report wild bottlenose dolphins use unique signature whistles to identify themselves. In a study of 200 bottlenose dolphins off Scotland, researchers find the dolphins also reply by echoing their whistles when they hear it from another dolphin. Researchers say it's the first evidence of naming and labeling in the animal kingdom. Other animals like songbirds and bats have been shown to be capable of copying sounds in their environment, but only parrots and dolphins use labels that they've learned for other objects or creatures. For the full top 10, visit Rappler.com's The Wrap. Every story on Rappler has a mood meter which gives you 8 emotions to choose from. Click how you feel and your vote comes down to the mood navigator in the middle of the front page. This crowdsources the mood of the day. It also gives you the top 10 stories that have gotten the most number of votes on their mood meters. These are the 10 stories that affected Rappler's readers the most. If you take a look, remember last night, this was all green, and tonight we have all green, 9 green stories and 1 red. What is that? The story you heard earlier. Foreigner writes open letter to Sona Rally's crying cop. You have 12% annoyed and 73% angry. The other stories next to it, it matters to our readers. The Pope visits Brazil, 56% happy. Manila starts ban on buses without terminals. Interesting, 33% annoyed, 65% happy. And the story that triggered most of this, well, before we go to that, let's go to Witness, #Witness History Press Conference. LeBron James leaves his mark, 62% happy. And the story that started all the happy, as it happens, #Sona 2013, 64% happy, 10% inspired. That green, showing the mood of the day. Today, most people are still happy. Well, that's Rappler's Newscast for today, Wednesday, July 24th, 2013. Visit Rappler.com and watch our newscast Monday to Friday. Tell us how you feel on our mood meter and help us crowdsource the mood of the day. I'm Maria Ressa. As we say at Rappler, tomorrow begins today.